Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I would like to discuss a strategy to get people to work for your business if you're finding that you have a worker shortage and you're finding that nobody wants to work at your company. This is probably going to get me a lot of downvotes from people who run businesses or small businesses or companies, but I do think that this is quite an effective strategy to avoiding worker shortages. This is not a common one, but it is an innovative idea, and I think it's worth sharing. If you pay people what they're worth, they'll work for you. I know, crazy. So this here is from Yahoo News. A New York City restaurant owner raised staff wages to $25 an hour, and she's had no trouble recruiting, but still doesn't think she pays them enough. A Manhattan restaurant owner raised prices so they could pay all staff $25 an hour starting. I still don't think we pay them enough. Restaurants are struggling to find staff, but Cohen says she hasn't had a single problem. Now, she says that when the pandemic happened, she realized that her employees would not be able to weather the storm because they wouldn't have enough money. And it was at that point that she realized we don't pay these people enough. Maybe they should be able to actually pay their bills if something happens for a month or two. And as a result, she says she's had no problem finding employees in spite of the fact that there is a worker shortage. It says in the article that it's not just restaurants that have been hit by what's billed as the Great Resignation. Businesses ranging from ride-hailing apps and small stores, hotels, delivery services have all been struggling to find new people. Now, for sure, a part of this is that extended unemployment benefits for many were quite generous, as well as many of the programs that were offered during the course of the pandemic. That being said, a good portion of it is the fact that many of the individuals doing these jobs were paid absolute garbage before. And the only thing that these jobs had going for them, one thing they had going for them, I'm getting paid shit, but at the very least, there is some semblance of job security and stability. I'm going to give up working on my dreams. I'm going to give up the idea of starting a business or becoming a freelancer in whatever industry I want to be a freelancer in. I'm not going to pursue my passion, but at the very least, if I just keep showing up every single day for 10 or 12 hours and I just keep putting forks on people's tables and keep pretending that I'm smiling as I'm delivering people their lamb chowder, whatever the fuck that they're eating, that I will be able to pay my rent and pay my bills. And once you've taken that away, once that illusion of job security gets taken away, which typically happens when a recession starts, people decide that that wasn't enough. That if they're going to give up their dreams, if they're going to give up everything they're doing, that they're going to want to be compensated something better, or at the very least have some sort of semblance of job security. And a lot of those people, even when the benefits end, are not going to go back to work unless you pay them something that is worth it for them to go back to work. And she is. Now, I understand what some people are going to say, which is that this is a difficult thing to do, particularly in New York City. Let's say that you are paying $25 an hour. Let's say it's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, and you're getting taxed at around, let's say you're getting taxed at like 32% or so. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm just spitballing. That comes out to $2,720 a month. Many one-bedroom apartments and even studio apartments in the city range from $2,000 to $2,400, which leaves you with, how do I put this? Nothing. So you've got a couple of $100 a month for groceries. You got maybe $100 for your electric and your gas bill. 40 or $50 for your prepaid cell phone plan. This is, a 90 or $120 for your Metro card. That's pretty much it. Your $25 an hour at your full-time job after taxes is going to give you literally just enough money to live. Now, you can live with a roommate. If you live with a roommate, you'll be cutting your expenses in half. Your rent will be closer to $1,000, but you'll still have the other expenses. And if you're just getting started out in the world, you're probably not going to have enough money that you're going to be able to afford to have a 6 or an 8 or a 14-month emergency fund in the case that something bad happens. So I do think that she is holding herself to a particularly high standard here because, again, some businesses are only going to be able to pay so much money. And it's not because those businesses shouldn't exist. They should exist because people want to shop at those businesses. They want to patronize those businesses. They will spend money at them, but they'll only spend a certain amount of money at them. And those are entry-level jobs that help people get people into the workforce, learning good work habits, and so on and so forth. But it's going to be difficult with the rents in New York City that are being asked to be able to pay people something where they can actually have a serious emergency fund if they just got started out in life. given that expenses are so high here. So I do think she's holding herself to a somewhat high standard there that, dare I say, I don't even think is going to be met by her pay. Even at $25 an hour, if I'm broke and I just started working for your place 3 months ago and I use the salary from that place to get a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, even if I work for you for 6 or 8 months, I really don't have much of an emergency fund to be able to deal with a 9-month pandemic. And call it an issue of inflation in the currency, call it an issue of, of low interest rates over the course of several years, call it the fact that, rents have gone up insanely, whatever you want to call it. The cost of living is insane. And, it's different now than it was for, let's say, someone who's running a restaurant in 1957 or 1965 to, when it comes to what they can afford to pay you versus what it costs for you to live versus now. It's not fully the restaurant owner's fault that we live in a dystopian world due to many, many factors that we could talk about for hours on end that cause the cost of living to be insane, versus the average amount of money normal people have, what they make, what they're willing to pay for things, and what a restaurant owner is willing to pay. That being said, I do believe this restaurant owner is on the right path, which is we don't have to trick you into paying a 20% tip at the end of your meal to cover labor costs. That is something it says on their website, and they're referring to the fact that many restaurants in New York City will force a tip on you if you have a party of a certain amount of people, and that's their way of sticking the tip in, no pun intended, to get you to pay them more money because they don't have the balls to just raise their prices to cover the cost of their staff. And also they're going in the right direction because they recognize that if you want people to show up to work, that you have to pay them something worth them showing up. Supply and demand does work both ways. Capitalism does work both ways. And if nobody wants to work at your business, in a city of 8.5 million people, you got to wonder at what point, what's going on with that. And again, I'm not trying to insult people in the food service industry. They work very, very hard, but it is different from the business that I have. When I have difficulty finding someone, I need to find someone that can figure out why PM Sleep S4L is missing when all the RTC signals are present, all the S5 rails are present, and everything is working. I need to hire people that can get data off of hard drives where the heads have crashed into it and maybe caused a little bit of platter damage. With all the skills necessary to do this very specific, niche, strange job that we do here, I have all of the staff that I need at this store. And you're saying that you can't find that for somebody who is moving the food from the table where they put the cooked food to the customer's table. It's a little bit more difficult for a store like mine to be fully staffed than a restaurant where, again, I'm not saying that it is not difficult work when you've got thousands of customers coming in and out a day, but at the end of the day, the skill level required to take food from over here and bring it over there, if you're not able to get a single person in a city of 8.5 million people to show up to do that, that probably says something about the pay structure that you're offering or the company culture or climate that you have, that in a city of 8.5 million people, you can't get just one person to show up to take the food from over here and bring it over there. Maybe it's time that you pay people something that actually makes it worth it to them. Just throwing it out there. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. Also, you may notice Mr. Clinton is sleeping. We have actually increased his pay. We have been getting him new treats recently, not just greenies, but a new set of luscious treats. And he even has a new cat food. Costs more than the old cat food, includes lamb. It's expensive stuff. And he's still sleeping. So you may find that we hire a new cat to show up on here. And because the terms here at Rossman New Media are quite competitive, I think you'll notice that this chair is not going to be filled with a sleeping, lazy-ass cat for very long. It's actually going to get filled with a new one that has spunk, vigor, eyes open, meows, digs his claws in, instead of whatever this junk is here. Clinton, what is this lazy? Look, that's not even a meow. He didn't even make a noise. He opened his mouth. He didn't even meow. Or Clinton. What a bum. What an absolute bum. See you on the next